Right, is my sound okay? Because I've moved the mic a bit away. Cool. Right, should we clap? Okay, so I'll count to 3.
And on 4.
And then on 4, yeah, okay. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3.
Lovely.
Should we do that again? Because you just started talking straight away after you said to wait.
I did that last time as well, didn't I?
Yeah. Right, let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Welcome to Mammon Podcast. Mike and Mike on Mike, where two Mikes talk about their top 5s. We've already looked at things like games, films, TV shows and board games, and today we're talking about documentaries. So, Mike, are you a big documentary fan?
I enjoy them. I think I've discussed with you previously that I enjoy them, but I don't tend to watch them more than once. But it's the experience and the knowledge that you gain from them. It's a very different experience from TV and films, isn't it?
Yeah. I've always said, like, when I watch any film or TV show or documentary, anything like that, I always give it like a rating out of 10, a bit like IMDb in my head.
Yeah.
And when it's a film, for instance, I always say that it starts with an extra 1 point if it's based on a true story.
Oh, okay.
So, obviously all documentaries are true stories.
So there's no 0-star rated documentaries in your eyes then?
Exactly. I just think you have to be. It gives it a bit of a boost, doesn't it? Being
Yeah.
something that's, like you say, you're learning something,
Yeah.
and the stakes are higher than in a fictional story because whatever's going to happen or happen to these people are, true. It's real, isn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's definitely something I feel like I've started enjoying documentaries more the older I've got. I started appreciating them.
Yeah, I remember when I was younger, I used to have quite a lot of sort of natural history type documentaries, wildlife ones. You know, the ones that you'd get on BBC Two first thing in the morning on Sundays and stuff. My dad brought me and my brother loads on video, and I don't think I appreciated them back then. Yeah, I agree. Like, as you get older, like, you do definitely get more of an appreciation and an understanding of them.
I also think, though, like, I think where, like, film and TV shows and games, I don't know, that they seem to adapt, to the future and to its new audience quicker. Even just the model that's delivered, like Netflix, the idea of binge watching became more popular. So that's how a lot of shows sort of dropped them all at once.
Yeah.
I feel like documentaries were quite slow to do that. I think they had this kind of rigid, old-fashioned format that they went through, and there was no creativity to how it was delivered, so it made it a little bit boring automatically, whereas the documentaries I've picked all follow more of the narrative, like in chronological order almost. Like maybe they'll give a few hints at the start to get you interested and build you back up almost, but there's more almost storytelling involved.
Yeah, I've got that in mind.
Which I think's made it more interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think, interestingly, because they've become really popular, well, here's a spoiler, I've got no true crime documentaries in here.
No, I almost picked one, but decided against it. Yeah, I was quite surprised that I didn't include any true crime documentaries, because they're definitely the ones I've watched more recently as well.
Yeah, I think they've become super popular, haven't they, in like recent years?
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like partly as well, maybe I haven't picked them because they have become like a bit samey, like almost as you start mixing your serial killers up in.
Yeah,
because you watch so many.
I'll agree. Yeah, I'm trying to remember which ones did which. It does get confusing when there are so many that bizarre stories, aren't they? Some of them like really surreal.
Yeah.
But because they just get like, it's almost a series of unfortunate events. Some of them, because that's what makes interesting drama at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But because they're all so bizarre, some of the events that happen, it's like, oh, which one did that actually happen with?
I think I'd like to watch a documentary where it's just like a story of like a normal person's life. It's got like no real like major crazy thing happen, but for someone just to do a really good storytelling of that, I don't know why. I've always thought that might be interesting.
I think you might be alone on that.
I think I am completely alone on that. But I think that's the point. Is some of these ones that I've picked, it really is more. It's not necessarily the topic; it's the way that it's been told.
Yeah.
That to me made it interesting. And this time we've tried to as well include where you can watch these. So if you are interested in any of them, we've tried to include places where you can find it.
Yeah. I'm just going to say from the top of the episode, because it's easy for me, all of mine are found on Netflix.
Nice.
Every single
Mine's
one.
with a mixture.
Yeah, I didn't plan it, so it was all going to be on Netflix. It just happened to be like that.
Right, so who starts off again? Who went first last time?
Right, so the host doesn't start. So it's me.
There we go.
It's me.
Right, so coming in at number 5. What have you gone for, Mike?
I've got one that I'm going to say from the off, can't remember a huge amount about, but I can tell you that you will know a lot about it, and well, in terms of sort of, you got memories of it, you know about the show, and it's Walking with Dinosaurs, should I say?
Yeah.
So it was back in 1999, which is why I probably don't remember a huge amount about it, and I haven't watched it since. But it's the first proper documentary I really remember watching all the way through, all 6 episodes of it. And it was back like, I was 10 years old, so probably enjoyed dinosaurs and learning about dinosaurs and everything. Didn't realise it was narrated by Kenneth Branagh as well, who's a fantastic actor. Shakespearean actor, isn't he? And also in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those great shows where you actually got to learn about the dinosaurs, and the way it was portrayed with the mix of animatronics and CGI. I have watched some clips in preparation for this. The CGI does not hold up in the slightest. It is absolutely atrocious.
I'm about to say, I never watched it live at the time, I don't think, but I seem to remember it being one of those things that every now and then got thrown into, like, I don't know, a geography lesson or a history lesson or something at school.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, because it did teach about the geography of the planet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Beforehand.
So that's all I have. And even then, probably only, 4 or 5 years after it was released, and even then I still remember going, oh, this isn't held up.
Really? I think the animatronics, I remember going to like a museum or something and seeing them, or seeing some of the animatronics that they use, and it really was quite spectacular. Like, just seeing this dinosaur moving with realism, to be honest with you. It was a great show.
And dinosaurs are just cool as fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Dinosaurs are cool as fuck. That classic quote. Just read as well that at the time it was a series that was the most expensive documentary series per episode ever produced, which doesn't surprise me, because when you think about it, the whole of the episode is CGI or animatronics. It's not just sending someone on location, because they went to on location and filmed like
real dinosaurs.
Yeah, real dinosaurs. they spent billions upon billions about going back in time, and no, they went to locations like Chile and stuff like that to actually record the landscape and stuff, so that they could then artificially put in these dinosaurs in there. So yeah, I can understand why it was really expensive.
Was it BBC?
It was BBC, yeah.
Nice.
No, it was a great show, but like I say, can't remember a huge amount about it, but definitely one of the top documentaries I remember watching. It's like the one that got me into watching documentaries. The first. I think
that's probably why they chose that topic and spent that much money, because I think you're right. I remember that being something that people spoke about at school. You know, even like say, what year did it come out?
1999.
Yeah, so I was in primary school still then, but I remember that being something people spoke about, like at a young age as well. Yeah. So it wasn't, I think probably at that time it was seen as an adult thing, wasn't it? And that was trying to bring in a young audience with it as well.
Definitely.
So,
well, it still seems
obviously worked.
Yeah, well, they I didn't realise this, but in 2013 they released a feature-length film on Walking with Dinosaurs. Don't know what it was about, but it's obviously a series that's still got enough scope that it's still going, and people still do talk about it. There was even a live show that toured in 2018 about it. So yeah, the franchise seems to have held up.
Definitely, I'm assuming. Yeah, definitely. Well, I wonder if it sort of, because of the success of Jurassic Park, if that was part of the reason it was made.
So, reading beforehand, I remember reading that it was in 1996 that the director, or the person who came up with the idea, Jasper James, thought of it, and he said it was fueled by sort of 1993 with the release of Jurassic Park. Sort of people were really excited about dinosaurs again. So it took 6 years because of the in terms of the pure scale of what they had to create, but it was what sort of what was the inspiration for it.
Nice. I wonder if there's anyone like any American audience. I wonder if that was something that was over in America as well. Like, yeah, they import a lot of documentaries and stuff. I wonder if it was as big over there as it was over here.
Yeah, it was on the Disney Channel, and it was directed by Avery Brooks instead of
Kenneth
Branagh. Narrated.
Oh yeah.
He was
by who?
Avery Brooks. He played Sisko, Captain Sisko on Star Trek.
No.
I was going to say you're not a big Star Trek fan, so.
No. Nice, solid choice though.
Thanks.
My number 5 is a more recent one, although annoyingly, I like that you kind of started your number 5 with like the one that sort of got you into documentary, almost, or made documentary seem appealing. I like that. Mine's a more recent one. I don't know if this is just me who knew nothing about it, but I just saw the premise, thought that sounded good, clicked on it, and then as I was watching, I was like, A, how do I know nothing about this? And B, I can't. This is so stupid. It must be real because there's no way you could make up these facts because it's ridiculous. But this is a 6-episode docuseries that I watched on Sky Documentaries about 6 months ago. So I'm assuming it's still on there. And that's McMillions. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it, but don't know much about it. I know it was like the big binge that everyone was watching.
Yeah, I won't give away too much on it. I'll try and give you a bit of an idea of the premise so that potentially it might make someone go watch it. Because like I say, it is really, really interesting. But the McDonald's Monopoly game, where, you know, they have a few weeks or months, whatever, of the year where you can collect Monopoly pieces.
The best week of the year.
Yeah, exactly. If you collect the whole board, you can win.
It's like, oh no,
X
I've got to
money.
go to McDonald's because I've got to collect my Monopoly thing, even though you never win anything.
Well, but I think the genius of it as well, though, is you'll get a meal and you'll win like a free cheeseburger.
Yes.
So then you'll go back when you probably wouldn't have done, you know, later that week or whatever to get that free cheeseburger. But you'll obviously get other food with it.
Yeah.
You won't just take the free thing. Or you'll keep collecting, so eventually you've got a free drink, free chips and free beer. You're like, ha, I've got a free meal, but you've had like 10 to get to that point.
Let's be honest, the cheeseburger probably costs them like 10p, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it's a clever marketing. It's like the Coke with the names. I wasn't personally a big fan of it, but it was genius because people were buying Coke more than normal because they wanted their name on or their friends' names on and stuff like that. Like, it's just it's brilliant. But yeah, this is about the McDonald's Monopoly game, and between 1989 and 2001, a group of people, both connected and not connected, sort of all are connected, but you have to watch a documentary, not everyone's aware, committed fraud and took $24 million worth of money from the game through various sort of scams and things like that. And it's I think what's great about this is sometimes documentaries can be a bit heavy. And you know, as good as they are, you can come out and you're just like, geez, I'm just like, I hate the world and the people in it. Whereas this one, although it's about crime, there's so many characters in there from when it happened who they interview who are quite funny. Like one of the FBI officers who they interview about it is just ridiculous. Like I think it almost like a stereotypical dumb American. Like you almost think he's an actor because you're like, how is this guy an FBI agent? Like how is he allowed to have this much power and influence? And some of the stuff that he sort of did as part of the investigation, it's just like, you're so lucky that worked because it sounds like such a stupid idea, but if it's stupid and it works, I guess it's not stupid, is it?
So did they catch the people then? I'm guessing so.
Well, I'm not going to tell you.
All right, tell me this.
Yes.
Anyone doesn't want to hear any spoilers, then stop listening for a couple of minutes. But, so you said there's a series of scams that they do.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of one of the scams that just seemed a bit foolish or ridiculous and somehow it paid off? Or
I guess so, because this is sort of brought early on, so it's not too much of a spoiler per se, but essentially what happened is they only print so many of what the word is, the main way the money went is they in America did instant wins, so you could peel one off that just said you've won $250,000, $100,000, whatever, and they only printed, I don't know, let's say 8 every run in America that you could win, maybe 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for the top prize, maybe even 1. So what they do is they print them all together, then take them to this factory, randomly put them on, that are randomly printed out, so no one knows where they're going, essentially. That's how they try to make it secure. But somehow, it seems that someone has got hold of them and is sort of handing them out. And then we find out, like, the mob's involved.
Wow.
And yeah, there's, like I say, it becomes this crazy, it almost feels a bit like a Scorsese film, like a Goodfellas or something, but like a stupid version. And yeah, so I guess that's the big mystery, finding out how is someone getting it? Because they show you sort of all the sort of security connections, and it doesn't seem like any way that someone can get from the printing process because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, how's the mob involved? Yeah, so like I said, then these people that don't seem connected, it's trying to like, you know, you see, you kind of at times are following the officers and seeing how these sort of people connect and how the dots, you know, are connected to each other. So like I say, it's although it sounds quite dark, or serious, it is still quite light-hearted in a lot of ways. I think because of how many sort of weird characters there are that they interview who are involved in it on both sides, both on the
well, you got to be a bit
and
eccentric to sort of try and do that sort of thing anyway, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. And as well, just how much luck's involved with stuff like this almost. You have to be like just being somewhere at the right time means you get involved in it.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, like I say, it's really nice, and it's I think it was done by HBO in America and then sold to Sky Documentaries to view in the UK. So it's like really professionally done. It got Emmy nominations and things like that. And like I say, I think it's a fun watch in a way. And like I say, if you don't know anything about it like I didn't, I think it's even better because I was Googling half it going, no, surely not.
Yeah, Googling to see how real that was, or
yeah, exactly.
whether it's just sort of fun storytelling to sort of change the narrative.
For the first 30 minutes, I was like, is this a mockumentary? And like I say, if you watch it and you see that FBI agent, you'll know what I mean. He just seems like almost like an actor rather than a real human being.
Yeah, this sounds like one that actually intrigues me. I have heard of it, should I say? Didn't know what it was about in the slightest, but now I'm definitely intrigued about it.
Nice one.
Yeah, it always makes me laugh whenever. So just on the subject of McDonald's monopoly, whenever that time of year comes out, obviously the top prize will be getting Mayfair and Park Lane together.
Yeah.
And they print hundreds upon hundreds and hundreds of Park Lane, but only like 2 Mayfair.
Yeah. So you feel like you're close.
And the people genuinely on Facebook and stuff like, I've got a Park Lane. If anyone has a Mayfair, maybe we can go half and half on the prize. It's like, are you like? I genuinely don't know whether half the time these people are saying it jokingly, but I think some of them are definitely serious, thinking that there are 80,000 Mayfairs out there as well, and they're going to just find 2 people who come together to get it, and it's
I can't remember if this is true, but that point, I seem to remember a country in Europe maybe banning it or trying to ban it because it is technically gambling because of that very reason that people are sort of like, I'm going to go out and buy loads of McDonald's, not genuinely not to eat it, just to try and win this money.
Oh, it's definitely gambling. That's why stuff like EA's microtransactions been sort of pulled up recently in a lot of countries.
Yeah, that's
because people say that that's gambling because sometimes there's a bit of chance whether you'll actually get anything good and you've got to pay more money. Like is it FIFA with the
Ultimate Team?
Yeah, the Ultimate Teams in which you don't know what packs you're going to get.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice one. Right, moving on to number 4.
Yeah, so my number 4. I lied, I realised, when I said that all of mine are on Netflix.
Right, let's end this now. I'm not going to work with a liar.
It's understandable. If you want to cut it short now, that's it.
we
can go our separate ways. Yeah, 6. This is the 7th episode, is it? So yeah.
What is it on? First of all, let's start there.
It is on Disney Plus.
Oh, nice.
So it is a streaming service that quite a lot of people have these days. Worth keeping through February because I think they're adding a hell of a lot more content. But anyway, the show is relatively. It's not sort of. It wasn't like it was produced for Disney Plus, as far as I'm aware, and it's called Prop Culture. It's a series in which a guy really, really loves collecting props, but not just collecting them for his own personal. He feels they should go into collections and stuff like that. So he wants to try and rehome them and take them back to the people who sort of made them or were involved in the production or like in a museum and that sort of stuff. So the films that I looked at are Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, Mary Poppins, The Muppet Movie, Tron, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Nice.
So what he does is he goes through, and there's about 3 or 4 props that he sort of finds or looks at during each episode. But he also brings back old characters, like he brought back the actress who played Jane in Mary Poppins and reunited her with the dress that she wore from Mary Poppins and stuff like that. Or all the Narnia characters, he brought them back and showed them all their swords and their armour. And it was just a really heartwarming documentary, but also quite interesting seeing how they made a lot of the props. Like the Who Framed Roger Rabbit one, they showed you how they made. There's a scene in which Roger Rabbit, obviously a cartoon character in a live action world, jumps through a window pane, but the blinds and the windows smash as he jumps through it to create the shape of Roger Rabbit. But that was all done practically. So even though they animated a rabbit on top of the whole frame, the whole smashing of the window and blinds was actually done practically, and it's quite interesting knowing how they did all this stuff.
I think it's worse. It's like you say, it's taking that idea of. Again, that's one of the things that as you get older is more interesting. Like, I know you're same as me, you're a massive fan of the trivia button on IMDb for film and TV shows.
Yeah.
And this is like this book, I don't know, on cocaine, isn't it? Like, it's loads and loads of behind the scenes and secrets and things like that. And then it then makes you want to go watch it. You watch it with a different appreciation almost.
Oh, yeah. After we watched this, we went back and watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit almost straight after we'd actually watched the episode. And it was because I knew watching Who Framed Roger Rabbit that it was a lot of practical effects that they used. But it was interesting seeing the props that they used and then watching the film and seeing how they utilised those effects to actually make it work. And it was interesting. I really enjoyed it. And it's not one that many people have heard of. It's quite new. It only premiered last year. So it is still a relatively new documentary.
No, that's one that you've mentioned before and I want to watch. I've just never got round to for one reason or another.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I don't know whether they're planning the season 2, so there's only one season out at the moment, but definitely recommend it.
Well, it reminds me of another documentary you've recommended, which I won't say in case you picked it, that I've never watched as well, but for a similar reason.
I have picked it.
Okay, I thought so. Which is good.
I've suddenly clicked what you was on about, yes.
But importantly, I can't really remember that much, but my brother-in-law, I'm sure he loves that as well, so I've heard about it in bits and bobs before.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. That not many people. It's definitely a unique type of documentary, but I quite liked it because I am a fan of trivia pages, like you say. So I like behind the scenes of any types of movies.
My number 4 is also on Disney Plus. So I was a bit nervous when you said that. But as this is your only Disney Plus, it means you've not watched it. You've not picked it, which is good. Because I know you've watched it because I recommended it to you and Lauren.
Yeah.
So before I tell you my number 4, which is on Disney Plus, I want to start by telling everyone I fucking hate roller coasters. Like, all of them.
Do you actually?
Oh, like, genuinely.
What's the reason?
Like, I don't particularly like going upside down. I've done them. But I don't get the enjoyment. I get, just that chemical reaction of your body going, oh my God, I'm going to die. And then I'm like, I didn't enjoy that. And I don't enjoy the buzz afterwards, per se. But more than that, it's like you can go to Alton Towers and you can queue up for 3 hours for some ride. So I've heard people who've gone to Alton Towers and want to go to the big popular one. And they've gone on 3 rides because it was such a busy day. And I'm like, that's a shit day. And it's not cheap either.
That's unfortunately the downside of you being a teacher. You can only go when it's busy.
Yeah, but I know. But even when in year 10 I picked business as my double option choice.
Yeah.
And I literally picked it because you got to go to Drayton Manor, and it was dead. I don't think they shut the park down for us, but because it was a school day, there was literally our school and maybe 20 random people. So you could just literally get on a ride, come off, and go back on the ride again. There was just no one there. So I have had that experience of being at a park where you can just go on rides, and even then, I didn't particularly enjoy the day.
Yeah.
I also hate muggy weather. Absolutely hate it. That sort of sweaty heat.
Yeah.
And with all that in mind, my number 4, which could have been higher as well, I really struggled with. Yeah,
I'll be honest, because I know exactly the one that you're going to pick. I thought it was going to be higher.
It's the Imagineering story, which, for those who don't know, is a documentary on Disney Plus about the Disney park. And like I said, I have absolutely no interest. Even after watching it, and it being one of the best things I've ever seen, documentary or film, I still have no interest, really. Well, maybe a little bit, but maybe I have to be more like why. But I still have no interest in going on rides. But the Imagineering story is the story of how Walt Disney wanted to... Essentially, he was at a park one day with his kids, and they're playing on their sort of, I can't remember what the word is, play area. And
like a fun fair, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he was sort of like, well, what is there for adults?
Coincidentally, wasn't it the same fun fair that inspired Mary Poppins?
It might have been as well, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember that being mentioned on Prop Culture, so they tie in.
There you go. And then... And then essentially that's why he went on to make it and use his sort of Disney properties that he'd made to include them in there. And again, what's great about this is each episode takes a sort of decade and goes in order all the way up to the modern era.
It sort of even talks about the future, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It even looks at what, the potential you want to do. It looks at the people who were in charge, so even after Walt Disney, the people who took over running the park, how important it is. I didn't realise how much money it made to Disney and how important it was to sort of the Disney brand. How big they are even today nowadays.
Oh yeah, they're probably losing so much by it not being open currently.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. But
not that they need to worry about that at the moment.
But it's. I guess what's interesting is you see it from all the different angles. So you've got it from there's quite a few famous people, famous directors and writers who sort of worked as I don't know, cleaners or working behind stalls of certain areas of it and things like that, or operate certain rides. And look at what it was like for them just as a worker at the time, working somewhere like a Disney park, or it's looking at some of the engineers who created these rides. And the idea is this really cheesy idea. They don't call them engineers, they call them Imagineers, because you've got to be an engineer who uses these creative ideas. But it is true when you watch it that the technology they do is cutting edge. So a lot of what they're doing doesn't exist, and they have to create it. They have this idea for a ride, but there's no technology out there to do it. There's no one who's done it, so they've got to make it up. It also looks at how they brought it to Paris and was it Japan? I think they did as well.
Yeah, they did take and I think there was one in China that was quite a big one because they had redone the Haunted Mansion, hadn't they?
Yeah, was that the most recent new part that was built?
It was one of the more recent ones. Yeah.
And like I say, just seeing it go from in fact, do you know what? I'm going to rewatch that today. I think because I absolutely,
all of it.
Yeah, start to rewatch it again because it is one of the best things I've ever seen. Like I say, just going from the decade, and I still don't have a massive interest, but in like saying going to a park, but the documentary, hearing as many people talk about it, I think I think Walt Disney has a lot of faults, like a lot of famous public figures from the past when you look back at them. But with Disneyland, there was clear this idea of him wanting to do good and wanting to make people happy and inspire people, and he did want to give this idea of a better future and what a better future could look like. And I think as well, a lot of people who do things like this, it's cash cowing, isn't it? It's trying to cash in on a popular film series, right? We'll make a quick add to our park or whatever, or make some lunchbox on it, and it's purely about money. Whereas for him, he was trying to take these popular brands that he knew people loved, these film characters and film series, and let you feel like you're part of that world. And I think that really came across, that these people really do sort of care, and they did want to give people an experience. And like I say, if someone who had absolutely no interest in park, it did make me want to go, just to even walk around them, not to even go on the ride that they talk about, but more just to walk around. Like when they showed the Avatar's world, I was like, that's amazing. The technology and how beautiful it looks is just incredible.
Yeah, because they go into because they didn't want to have it look as though the different it's like islands, isn't it? In Avatar, in the world are sort of they're sort of floating, these islands in the actual film.
The Hallelujah Mountains, is that what they're called?
Is that what they're called?
I feel like they are, yeah.
But they didn't want to obviously make it look as though they were suspended there by a piece of string or something. So they tied them together with vines, and it looks fantastic how they've actually managed to create this illusion of these islands floating in midair around you.
But again, as cheesy as the term Imagineering is, it is interesting because you essentially have engineers and artists or creatives put together, and then that's what makes it so amazing, because you've got this artist who's got this vision, and then you've got an engineer who's like, yeah, all right, then I'll build it. And then the artist comes back to it, and like you say, tries to make it look like it's real. You deep down, obviously, it's not, but the way that the artists do that is amazing. Even when they built the lands for cars, they had experts who were making these I don't know, obviously not paper mache, but whatever the mountains are made of, plastic or whatever. The way they had to create it to make it look like they had experts from geologists maybe who'd worked with sort of mountains and know what they look like and why they look a certain way. So I make things look perfect. And I think that idea of them striving to make you sort of forget everything else and just be immersed in that land is awesome. And like I say, it almost feels emotional when you watch it, because you're seeing these people who clearly have put their heart and soul into it, and when you see it pay off and the things that go wrong and the things that go right throughout the history of it. Because like I say, it's all in chronological order. It builds up from when it first started to now across the, I don't know, episodes around 10 maybe. It's amazing. It's one of the best things I've ever seen, like I say, film or documentary, and I really, really recommend it for people.
Yeah, we was waiting for the next one to come out, weren't we, each time, because we're getting impatient with it all.
And we both watched it during the first lockdown, and I think it's a feel-good documentary, isn't it? It's sort of what you needed when all the news was negative and everything was depressing. It was nice to have some feel-good TV.
No, definitely. One that I didn't think I'd enjoy, but really did.
Nice. Right, moving on to number 3.
Number 3. is a documentary I've been wanting to watch for a very long time. Well, at least 2 years because it came out in 2018. But I've never just got round to. And then when Mike suggested this topic, I was like, you know what? Let's watch it, see whether it could be there. And it's now made my number 3.
So how long ago did you watch it from the day of recording today?
2 days ago.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. It's a really interesting story, and I think even the plot synopsis. So I can't say too much about it because there's so many, like you said with McMillions, there's almost twists and turns, and this is one of the most unbelievable series of coincidences and that I've ever experienced when watching a documentary, but it's all absolutely true. So it's called 3 Identical Strangers.
I've never even heard of it.
No, it's quite a new one. It won best. No, it didn't win. I think it was nominated
for an Oscar
for the best documentary, but I don't think it actually won anything. Same as the BAFTAs. But it's basically about 3 identical strangers. So there's these 3 people: Edward Galland, David Kelman, and Robert Safran. So Bobby arrives at this college one day, and everyone's going up to him. It's like, "Oh, you're right, Eddie. How was your summer? I didn't think you're coming back this year." And he's really confused. It's like, "My name's not Eddie. It's Bobby. What are you on about?" Turns out he has a twin brother who went to that school, but he was adopted, and he never knew about him. Yeah, and so both of these people were adopted, so they didn't realise that they were twins. And it sort of becomes this big story about how these 2 people never met each other before.
What the
suddenly, there they are. They're suddenly, through a series of coincidence, they found out that they're twins. Someone's reading that story in the newspaper and recognises the people as someone else they know. So Robert Safran's the 3rd person in this. He's also part of the twins, so they're actually triplets. And he learnt about it through the newspaper. So they all meet up and they become...
So they all adopted?
All 3 adopted.
Did they
by
know?
Because
obviously sometimes in a situation of adoption, the parents don't always tell the child they're adopted. Did all 3 of these know, that they were adopted before all of this?
It's gone into quite a lot because that is one of the biggest parts of the documentary.
Okay, so you can't spoil it. I want to watch this.
But I'll say they didn't know. None of the families knew that they were adopted. They were twins. Or triplets, sorry.
But did they know that their parents were not their biological parents?
Yeah, they all knew that it was adopted.
Okay, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's like a double twist. Like, shit, I've got a twin. Shit,
I know, yeah, could you imagine that?
Yeah.
I'm adopted. But yeah, it's just a series of... And it's really interesting and fascinating to learn about the whole sort of reason behind their adoption. And
can I just ask you, because I love... I did psychology at A-level and I failed horrendous. I'm still better than my teacher, but probably me not paying attention. But one of the things I did really love is the idea of like nature versus nurture. Obviously there were, I imagine, because of the way they were raised, lots of differences. But were there any eerie similarities?
At the beginning,
other than the fact they look like each other.
Yeah. At the beginning, it's really noted that they all sort of have the same sort of personality, and there's a lot of links between them. Like, it's not spoilers, very early on, it's like they were all wrestlers during high school. They've all got very similar interests in women. They all sort of sit exactly the same and they hold themselves exactly the same. It's really
so
quite weird that. But at the same time, it's not. I'm not going to dwell too much into it because it's one that you need to watch, because otherwise you wouldn't get the full effect of the whole documentary. It's really well done. So I think because these triplets are used to sort of telling their stories so much, they're really quite interesting to listen to, and the way that they tell their story, they've obviously told it so many times that it's actually quite a fun story to listen to, all of it. But also, yeah, there's a lot more to it than just this. There's 3 people that meet up and, who happen to sort of realise through a series of coincidental events that they're triplets. There's a lot more to the story than that, but it's definitely one worth watching. It's a remarkable... The tagline is the most amazing, incredible, remarkable, true story ever told. And it's 100% true. That it is one of the... It's unbelievable almost, but it's incredible.
Well, I will take your 3 identical strangers and raise you the worst documentary name on here.
Okay.
From maybe the best to the worst. Because just from that title, someone's going to go, yeah, I'll watch that. That sounds interesting. Whereas this one, I only started watching almost as a bit of a joke. Me and Shauna were scrolling through Netflix on a Friday night once. We were trying to decide what to watch. I was in one of those moods where nothing was interesting me. And then we saw some ridiculous things. She was like, "Oh, should we try that?" And then when you leave it on Netflix and it just starts, showing the sort of trailer.
Oh yeah, automatically going.
And then we were like, "Actually, that sounds quite interesting, a bit weird." And that is My Octopus Teacher.
I've seen it, but skipped past it because it sounded like nothing.
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? It's a real. This one's a film, not a docu-series. I don't know, probably about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. Feel like, top of my head.
I quite like that so far. We seem to be linking with the series, and then this was my film. That was about an hour and a half, and you've got your number 3 film.
We're doing well so far. And like I say, I understand that a lot of people will not want to watch it based on the name, and maybe even have to describe it. But I can only explain that it's the film that's given me the most emotional reaction, and it's one of those films that it's quite. It's going to sound very pretentious, but like I don't know, it's quite a quiet film in just terms of like you just sort of soaking it in, and I don't know, like the longer the film goes on, the more it gets drawn in.
Okay.
But if you've watched the films one, you'll know that one of my favourite genres is coming of age, and this is sort of feels like that, but maybe more of a midlife crisis type of way.
Okay,
but
yeah.
Essentially, it's about this guy called Craig Foster. Craig Foster, and he's a South African filmmaker. And he's gone all around the world and filmed all these documentaries, and essentially decided to give it up. And he found like the deadlines. You record something, then you've got to edit it together and send it to them. It was quite intense. And he found he almost had sort of like depression from it, because like one of the ones he did was he went to, I think it was Australia, and did a documentary with the Aboriginals who sort of so in tune with nature that they can hunt from just like feeling the ground and things like that. And he said there's like this weird thing where he was learning about such like a special culture, and people who were so in touch with the world, but because he was behind the camera, was just so removed from it all, like he almost didn't feel part of it.
Yeah.
So it was almost this disconnect he was finding, seeing these amazing things, but because he was the filmmaker, he was behind the camera and didn't feel involved in it. So he moves back to his house in South Africa, which is on this beach, this cove that's really, really rough water. And he just decided to start going out snorkeling each day. And one day he finds this octopus, and it does this amazing thing where when the filmmaker, when Craig Foster gets closer, it goes onto the seafloor and wraps 30 shells around itself.
Yeah.
And starts like spinning around, and he's like, "What the hell is this?" So he goes back at home after he's filmed it, and he's Googling, he's researching, he's ringing experts, and no one's heard of an octopus doing this. No one knows what it's about. And then he thinks about documentaries he makes, and he's like, especially to do with the sea, like you will film a shark for a day, maybe a week or so, and that's it. Whereas he's decided to give himself this thing where he's going to go to that same piece of water every day for a year and film every day. 365 days. He's just going to film this small body of water. Hopefully he's going to see the octopus every day. But he wants to see sort of what's going on in that area. You know what I mean? In all 4 seasons, everything. And that's what he does. And it looks beautiful as well, because it's called a sea forest where he's filming. So it's got these sort of like these sea like weeds that grow up from the sea floor. So it's like he's moving through a forest at times. And he basically, this octopus becomes his almost friend. And essentially, as he's filming it, he sort of across this year starts finding out more about the octopus, but it sort of starts having an impact on him and his life and his relationship with his son and his family. And it's sort of what you can learn. Like I said, it's in seeing this octopus's life and the sharks around there, and it's again that sort of that filmmaking thing. Do you get involved when an animal's being hunted? Because obviously you shouldn't, should you? It's the whole point of being a filmmaker.
Become its friend. Exactly.
And it's, I guess, what he learned from it, which again sounds really cheesy, but it's like I say, it's a really sort of quiet, moving film. It's beautifully shot. It's interesting. You learn a lot about an octopus. You learn a lot about this man's life, I guess, as you go, almost in terms of like why he's become so disconnected and why this thing's having such a profound impact on him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit strange, I guess, and it's got a terrible name, but it's one of the best things I've ever seen. And I'd recommend it to anyone.
That actually sounds quite interesting and fascinating, seeing just seeing the life. Normally you'd be able to sort of follow it like this, but obviously there was a nice little friendship that seemed to be formed between the octopus and the teacher. No, the teacher's the octopus, isn't it?
Yeah. And
you know what I mean? Filmmaker.
You find out why, by the end, he finds out why it did that thing with the shells later on. So he sort of became an expert as well. He learned more than sort of the marine biologist who spent lots of time learning about an octopus as well. He learned things that they didn't know because, like I say, most people who will study an animal will study it for a short period of time and they'll go back, won't they, to the lab, whereas he went every single day. Didn't miss a single day, which is crazy.
That sounds interesting. I might have to go down and watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Might have to be one I watch without Lauren due to her fear of water, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Not water. It's fear of the sea. She hasn't got a fear of water.
Well, a little bit. She doesn't like baths, does she, either? First shower is.
Yeah, but that's not a fear of baths. She just doesn't like sitting there. She feels like she can do other things with her life.
Which she's very wrong because baths are the best thing in the world.
No, I agree.
Right, moving into number 2.
Well, actually, before we go on to number 2, I'd like to try something.
Okay.
So since we're on this docu-series episode, do you remember back in episode 1 you came up with digging holes with Paul Scholes?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought we'd have a little quiz to see how well you get on trying to determine whether these are Alan Partridge quotes or real TV docu-series.
Okay, I like this.
Yeah. Completely unplanned. You didn't know this was coming.
No.
Right. So I got 5 here.
Mm-hmm.
How good do you like Alan Partridge then?
I'll be honest, I'm not a massive fan.
Oh, really?
No, but someone I think I've seen that clip or someone told me about that clip and it made me laugh. And then...
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll read you out 5 and you got to tell me whether they're Alan Partridge TV pictures or genuine TV shows.
Okay.
So, number 1, Touch the Truck with Dale Winton.
Surely Partridge, surely.
Nope, that was a real show on Channel 5 where it was a reality docuseries in which they filmed people touching a truck and the last person to stop touching the truck won the truck.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Dale Winton, what an absolute wrong in that was.
Dogs on Death Row with Professor Green.
True.
Yeah, that was a BBC 3 documentary.
I feel like I remember hearing about this, but still weird as shit. But
well, it's a bit interesting, isn't it? It's ones that are waiting to die on Battersea Home, sort of being put down. It's a bit sadder than the name suggests. Really, sounds a bit comical. Arm wrestling with Chaz and Dave.
Partridge.
That was a Partridge. Apparently, they were really keen for that when it got turned down. Penguin A&E with Lorraine Kelly.
I mean, that sounds like something should.
It is something that should do. Okay, and then the final one: Youth Hosteling with Chris Eubank.
I really hope that's Partridge.
It's kind of both.
Really?
So, yeah, it was 100% Partridge, and then in 2015, I've since learnt when genuinely creating this little quiz for you, he created a pilot of Youth Hosteling with Chris Eubank, and you can find it on YouTube.
Amazing. Wait, who Chris Eubank did, or?
Yeah. Chris Eubank did this pilot, yeah.
Amazing. Just with his incredibly posh voice. I don't know.
Is it a posh voice?
Well,
Chris Eubank. I can't do a Chris Eubank.
I think is a posh voice, isn't it?
I don't know, but yeah. So there you go. I thought I'd just do that little quiz for you, a bit of fun in between before we go on to our number 2.
I like that. And now I'm excited to see if your number 2 sounds as weird as those real and Partridge documentaries.
I've got to get back to my list now to find out what my number 2 actually was. It doesn't. I can tell you that. And it's the only one that I'm concerned that it might be a crossover on.
Well, this is my last Netflix one. My number 2 is. So actually it'd be perfect if it does cross over.
Yeah. So it was a series that most people were obsessed with during lockdown.
Yep, it's the same series. Love it.
Is it? There we go.
I love that it's brilliant. Matched up at the right number as well.
Oh, perfect. So, well, should I say what it is just in case it is, or should I try and introduce it like I was going to?
Should we say it at the same time on 3?
I really hope it's a different one now.
Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. The
Last
Dance.
Dance.
Yes.
There we go. So me and Mike weren't really into basketball in the slightest before watching this, as I don't think most people in the UK were at all. And it's just a really fascinating documentary, isn't it? It's about the career of Michael Jordan. It's sort of tried to build as the last season of Chicago Bulls, but really it's mainly about Michael Jordan. There's a few sort of spotlights on like Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Steve Kerr, Phil Jackson, isn't there? But really, he's the main person that the whole documentary is about. Yeah,
and I just say to that, I think that's a criticism with like real basketball fans, particularly maybe Chicago Bull fans, that it's made to be it's all about the Chicago Bulls in the 90s, their team, their dynasty as they call them, which is a really successful team. But actually, it's basically a Michael Jordan documentary. But I don't know. I only really knew Michael Jordan, so I didn't care.
Yeah.
Like, I was fine with it.
I knew Dennis Rodman as a bit of a weird guy, but yeah, I'm the same. I didn't really know that much about basketball, really. As I've talked about previously with Space Jam, he's the one that was famous in most people in the UK. But yeah, so it's just a really interesting documentary. So like I said, it's built to sort of talk about the last dance, so Chicago Bulls' last ever sort of well, it's not Chicago Bulls, but the last time this team are going to be going, because the owner, I can't remember what his name
Jerry
is.
Something.
Jerry Reisendorf.
I feel like you've just made that name up. Certainly.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
Oh no, you're right. I've just looked up. It is Jerry Reisendorf.
Boom and swish. Because he's planning on what's the word? I'm not very good at words lately. Sort of
rebuilding, isn't it, with the younger team?
Yeah, rebuilding
the
franchise. That's the word I was looking for, franchise. So he wanted to try and rebuild the franchise and make it fresh compared to keeping the same players that we've seen for the past, well, how many seasons was it? It's quite a few seasons, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I think it's their 6th. No.
So what it is they're trying to do something called a three-peat. This is the final season of this team. So they'd won 3 NBA championships in a row. Then Michael Jordan famously retired and tried baseball for a year, and then came back. So there was 2 years after they'd won their 3 in a row where they didn't win it. Then they won 2 back-to-back again, and then this documentary is called Their Last Dance. The Last Dance, where the whole team and the coach are going to be together. So it's seeing if they can win what they call a three-peat, which is repeating winning the championship 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
There you go. So
there's a synopsis.
Synopsis of...
For someone who was a little bit more prepared than me.
Well, it's not that. It's just I've watched it 3 times already.
Have you actually?
Genuinely, yeah.
Hey, you've done the three-peat?
Yeah. Well, no, that'd be... No, if I do it 3 more times next year, it'd be a three-peat, wouldn't it? That's just 3. It won't be repeated.
I'm with you, yeah.
But with this as well, like, just to add on to what you said, Mike, as well, I'm not, or wasn't before this, a basketball fan. You weren't either. But it is, again, the way I think it's told is so gripping. And the fact that, although it's a basketball documentary, and they do obviously show lots of clips, it almost doesn't feel like it's about basketball. I don't know if you can put that into words if you felt the same way, but like it doesn't feel like a basketball documentary, even though it's all about basketball pretty much.
No, I think I think it was you who said this previously. It's like, if this was done on any other sports that you had no idea about, you'd still enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because you didn't need to know about basketball or anything like that to enjoy what it was about. It didn't exclude you in that way.
I think as well, there's something about learning about someone who's that good at something. Like whether that be, a pianist, an athlete, a writer, a painter, a singer, a rapper, whatever. I think when you see someone who's so clearly better than everyone else, and that's not me saying it from a sort of biased point of view. You look at like people like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, people who were the greatest a little bit before Michael Jordan and a little bit whilst Michael Jordan was coming up, who are like, no, yeah, he's a lot better than him. So all these world-class athletes who are, some of the best basketballers ever, never mind just when he was playing, we're all like, yeah, he was better than him, like, by a lot.
Yeah,
there's something amazing watching such an elite sportsman, their mentality and things like that.
No, it was. I'm sure most people listening to this have watched this documentary, because it was a big binge. This and Tiger King throughout lockdown, but yeah, it definitely got me interested in basketball. I've gone and watched a few games. Well, on TV, I've watched a few games, should I say?
Yeah, we've picked a team, haven't we?
Yeah, we did pick a team. We've sort of dropped out of that a bit. But I have been following them. They've not been doing very well this season.
No, I've seen them.
I think we've won about 1 game so far.
When I googled it, was like, defensive issues still remain. I was like, yeah, that was the problem we watched them, wasn't it?
That was what the issue was. It's the New Orleans Pelicans, by the way, for those wondering who we decided to follow.
And your favourite player is Zion Williams?
Yeah, by far. And then I was going to get a Zion Williams shirt, and then you stole it.
Yep. Well, I didn't want his jersey or shirt, whatever.
No,
but it's the only one that they had available at the time.
Yeah, because they're not really a big team over here. Well, they're not a big team, full stop, to be honest with you.
Not in comparison to others, yeah.
No, they're quite a low down league ranking, which is why we picked them, because we didn't want to be looking as though it was going to glory hunt for a basketball team. Can
I say as well, with The Last Dance, to link to what I said about the Imagineering, I think, again, like I said, all my link, I think it's because of the storytelling. So the Imagineering worked for me as someone who's not a fan of not a massive fan of Disney per se, and definitely not a massive fan of theme park. was that it went in chronological order from the very beginning. Looked at maybe like a 10-year period, and it kept moving. That was interesting to me to see how it developed. That's what hooked me. I think a lot of it was I wanted to see. Okay, well then what happened in the next decade? How did it change? Whereas this one's order, which again I think is the reason that made it so compelling, was we're looking at the very final season that this Chicago Bulls team was together, and you're also hooked. You're like, okay, are they going to win the three-peat? Like I didn't know and didn't Google it purposefully.
No.
And maybe it was common knowledge, I don't know, but to me it wasn't, and I purposely didn't Google it because I wanted to keep that surprise. And alongside that, although that's the running theme through every episode, and I think it's 10 episodes. The first episode is the start of the season, the 10th episode is the end of the season, so each episode sort of progresses the season. But there's loads of almost flashbacks, isn't there, where they go back to like the very first championship they won together, and within that you might look at Michael Jordan's youth, and then the second championship they won together, and you look at Scottie Pippen's sort of childhood and how he became professional.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting that you had, like I said, there was almost three timelines that were running. You had throughout the series this final championship, and then you had the flashback to the other not five, it was the other, because they even include the seasons where Michael Jordan retired. The first season he came back and they didn't win it.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed it. Didn't think I'd enjoy it. It was you who recommended it to me. But yeah, absolutely. Even Lauren, who's not interested in any sports whatsoever, really enjoyed it. It was surprising, really. I
think more that she was attracted to half the team than it was that she was.
Quite possibly. Yeah. I'll ask her that.
But yeah, so I like that ours came up at the same time there, actually.
Yeah, that makes it a lot easier to try and work out.
And leads us into our honourable mention.
Yes. So my honourable mention is just a big up to David Attenborough. That's all I think needs to be said.
What, just all of David Attenborough?
All of David Attenborough.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. What was his first big one that he did? It's going to bug me now. Life on Earth.
Yeah.
That was ruined for me by university. So in my first year at university, I did a ecology degree. Well, not degree, but module.
Yeah.
It was part of the biology sort of part of it. Except our lecturer didn't teach us a single thing. Every single lecture, she just put on a different episode of Life on Earth and made us fill out a crib sheet answering questions about random parts of the episode.
You say that was at university?
At university.
So you paid $3,000 a year for that shit?
We actually put in a complaint at the end of the year because the exam came and we didn't actually know anything that was on the exam because we didn't get taught any of it. It was just sitting down watching Life on Earth.
Did they do anything to you marked as a result of that?
Yeah, they upped everything because of it, which is good, but it was still absolutely ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Like you say, the money you have to pay for as well. Is...
So because of that, I sort of despised the series for a bit because it was associated with bad memories.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Planet Earth, Blue Planet, like he's a fantastic documentary maker.
Do you have a favourite documentary he did? I've got my favourite documentary or docu-series he did and my favourite episode.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I'd say Planet Earth was my favourite documentary he did. One.
Yeah.
But I haven't got a favourite episode necessarily. What
Mine
about yours then?
Was the episode was on the Great Salmon. It was a 45-minute episode which just looked at how salmons are born. Go out into the sea.
Oh yes,
and then they have to go back to their, where they were born, and it's like the difficulties of their life. Like when they're in the open sea, obviously everything's trying to fucking hunt them and kill them. But then even going back, you have to be like sometimes, some summers because of the heat, they can't get up the riverbed anymore. And they just sort of like drown. Then obviously they've got the bears. Then obviously it's just a physical strain because the fact of, it's amazing from the fact that they can jump out of the water so high to like go back up the river. It was just absolutely amazing. What's it called? Nature's Great Events, I think.
Is that it? I definitely remember that episode on something I've watched.
Nature's Great Events. And it was a salmon episode. Unbelievable. And what an absolute god David Attenborough.
Yeah, like let's be honest, his brother's a bit better, Richard Attenborough. He did a documentary about dinosaurs, but
and he won an Oscar.
Yeah, so
I'm pretty sure as well there's a third Attenborough brother, and I don't know if I've made this up in my head.
there is.
But I feel like he's a mechanic as well or something.
Yeah, motor racing or something like that.
It's like, he must feel like such a failure in comparison to two other brothers.
I'd like to make two other things. So David Attenborough, Life on Our Planet on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Great little. It's his witness statement, he calls it. So it's very, very well done, talking about like the carbon footprint of the planet and stuff like that. And
is it a bit depressing as a result? I've not watched it for that very reason.
Yes, it is. Yeah. But it's still like, it's eye-opening.
Well, I think as well sometimes that's the thing
watching.
with documentaries is they're difficult to watch because of subject matter. But it's important, isn't it, that the very least we can do is be informed.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we have to go out and completely change our lives, but at least, just little things will help everyone.
Well, yeah, exactly. The other thing I'd like to do is see whether anyone listening to this podcast knows the name of this documentary, or even you, Mike, because it's really bugging me, and I wanted to include it on my honourable mentions previously, but I couldn't remember the name of it. So it's about a documentary filmmaker. He's quite famous for doing these sort of documentaries as well, but the concept of it he's been shrunk down like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and then he's gone out like into the garden, like shrunk down, to film the documentary on like all the bugs and stuff out there. And he's sort of like there's bits
taking the piss. Or...
No, genuinely, like there's bits where he'll like fight with an ant because an ant's attacking him. It's CGI'd obviously, but it's done in a documentary style, and it's quite interesting. You learn about the sort of the micro world, and I feel like micro's in the title. But it's still quite interesting, and it's a bit of a fun way of doing it. I remember it was like late 90s, early 2000s.
If you do know that, listeners, if you can at us on Twitter at Mammon Podcast, or Facebook us at Mammon Podcast, or email in to mammonpodcast@hotmail.com and let us know if Mike's full of shit and this thing doesn't exist.
Definitely a thing. I'm gonna, once I find out. Yeah.
No, don't Google it. No.
No, I've tried Googling it.
Let's let our listeners do the work.
So, yeah, you do. We talk to you for an hour. Now you do some work with your
own. My honourable mention, I tried to limit it to one. There's a few I want to pick, but I'm going to go with some... Well, in fact, I'm going to say two. No, I'm not. I'm going to say one. It won the Oscar. It's on Disney+, and that is Free Solo.
The rock climbing one.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, it's about a guy called Alex Honnold, I think his name is, something like that. And essentially, he wants to climb up this quite difficult mountain in America without any safety equipment.
Okay.
And it's regarded as a particularly difficult climb, even with safety equipment. And it's one of the most intense things I've ever seen. Like, I'm not particularly great with heights anyway, so my palms were just absolutely piss and sweat by the end of it because I was so nervous. But yeah, I think again, it's seeing like a strange character, a bit like almost like a Michael Jordan. Like, he's obviously at the top of his game, you know what I mean, in terms of, being a free climber. There's probably not many in the world better than him. He's accomplished something amazing. But it's about having these people who have these like absolute drives and just don't let people who tell them things are impossible affect them. And like I said, I think seeing this guy who's a bit of an oddball in some aspects, but I think you've got to be to be that dedicated and focused.
Definitely.
It's just his life. He just dedicated his life to his craft, and watching him build up to it. Like, for instance, he practices obviously before. He doesn't just do it. He practices it a lot with safety equipment. But there's certain parts of the climb that are difficult, and about a month before, something like that, he keeps like falling off this certain section he has to transition between, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how the hell is he going to do this? So watching it is just, no spoilers. Is he alive? Is he dead? Who knows? You'll have to watch. It's on Disney+. But watching it,
I'm guessing alive, otherwise it'll be a snuff film.
You have to see, mate. Gotta watch it. But yeah, that's my honourable mention. Free Solo, a film about a guy who does rock climb, that safety equipment. Short. It's a shortish film, I feel like. Is it an hour? 2 hours? Hour and a half? I'd say it's about an hour and a half, I reckon. But yeah, that is my honourable mention. So, Michael Ellingham, what is your number one choice?
My number one choice is a very, very odd choice, but it's such a fun documentary to watch. And what's even weirder about it is I haven't watched all the episodes yet.
Mm.
It's The Toys That Made Us.
I picked this one, yeah.
Yeah. It's billed originally in the theme tune, because it's got a really corny theme tune to it, as an 8-part documentary series. But actually, due to the success of it, they did a season 3, which was another 4 episodes. So there's actually 12 episodes so far. And they've done a spin-off series called The Movies That Made Us and The Christmas Movies That Made Us. But what it is it's essentially just focusing on different toy lines that all of us grew up with at least one of these. So the reason I haven't watched them all is because some of the episodes I didn't grow up with them, but because I enjoy the documentary, I do plan on watching them at some point soon. So I'll give you a list of the toys that it goes through. So it goes through Star Wars, Barbie, He-Man, G.I. Joe, Star Trek, Transformers, Lego, Hello Kitty, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, My Little Pony, and professional wrestling. And to be honest, the only two I haven't watched are Hello Kitty and My Little Pony. But it's just really interesting. So I'll give you like a rundown of the Star Wars one and another one potentially. So the Star Wars one, it starts off George Lucas. Obviously with Star Wars, you want to get a toy line going because toys make money at the end of the day for kids. But because he was so secretive over the ship's designs and all that sort of stuff, he held up sort of sharing any secrets to anyone. So all the big lines like Hasbro, Mattel, they sort of passed on it. So this toy company called Kenner, that I imagine most people haven't heard of, was the toy line that decided. Yeah, that was the toy line that decided to actually pick it up, and it was apparently billed the worst deal in history by George Lucas because he got very, very little money from the toy selling, and this is a toy franchise that's totaled $17 billion so far in terms of toy sales. Yeah, so it meant that what Kenner had to do is they had to produce these toys every year, and if they stopped selling for a year, then they would the rights would go back to George Lucas, and they'd have to renegotiate a deal. Unfortunately, Kenner was brought out by Hasbro in 2000, and Hasbro didn't realise this and stopped selling toys, Star Wars toys, for 1 year, and George Lucas was then able to renegotiate a deal and get a better offer for himself. But it's still really interesting seeing the history of all these toys and just seeing how things change so much, and all the sort of TV shows that sort of have to go into sort of trying to sell a toy. Like TV shows were created to sell toys and stuff like that back in the days.
Yeah.
But it's just a really fascinating one. The other one that really sort of I remember quite distinctly was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, in which the two creators, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, they actually stopped talking to each other due to creative reasons. And one of them, I can't remember which one, decided to leave anything to do with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and go on to other stuff because he didn't like the direction that it was going. But what was nice about this is at the end of the episode, they'd sort of they brought those two people back together, and it just ends with them just drawing comics again. And it's really quite nice that it sort of reunited these two people that sort of had a bit of a feud.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, but it's done in a really quite amusing way. It's got all sorts of guests and people talking about everything on it. It's really interesting, and it doesn't feel like it should be interesting, just talking about toys. But actually, it's a really, really interesting documentary on Netflix.
Well, I remember having Star Wars toys. I remember my cousin giving them to me, and he'd one of them who it was a collector who was older than me, so they were still in their box and things like that.
Oh, okay.
And it came with some sort of reader and things like that, I seem to remember. But essentially, anyway, it was like, I don't think they're going to be worth it. I'm never going to play with them. Do you want? I was like, yeah, cool. Ripped them all straight out the boxes. Played with them. Then about 2 years later, he rang me and said, oh, there's a couple of them that are worth quite a bit of money now. They still in their box. I was like, no, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting seeing the people collecting them and stuff like this. And just the legacy that... Because like you said, you had Star Wars toys when you grew up. I'm sure all of these Lego toys, for example, like almost everyone listening would have had some Lego toys at some point. And it's really interesting seeing the Legos history because they actually refuse to have any violence or anything like that in their toys to begin with. So like spaceships or anything with weapons, they refused to make them because they're about education and they wanted to be about the educational tool and design.
I like that. Do you know what? I might watch the Star Wars one. I think it'd be one of those that maybe I'll pick and choose the things that relate to me, like you. Like
exactly. That's exactly what I did. I picked and choose the ones that I wasn't interested in, but actually, I think, as you'll find I have, because the documentary's so well done with the host is quite interesting. He's got a very distinct sort of narrating style, and he's quite funny with it. But I sort of wouldn't mind going back to them, even though I don't know anything about My Little Pony or Hello Kitty.
I like that. Good choice.
It's an odd choice, I will agree, but it's one that it's our personal top fives.
Exactly. My number one then couldn't be more different to yours, which is quite lovely and almost feel-good TV, it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely.
Mine is incredibly sad, incredibly tense, and exciting as well. I picked mine because it feels like Ocean's 11 meet the Blackfish documentary.
Okay.
And I think because Blackfish has become so popular as a documentary, I think that's on Netflix now. If you liked Blackfish, this film makes Blackfish look like a piece of shit. In terms, it's so good. It's called The Code.
Never heard of it.
Seriously.
Never heard of it.
I looked up. It's not on like Netflix or. Yeah, it's one of those. It's not on. I checked. It's not on Netflix or Amazon or Disney or anything like that. So your two ways of watching it is you can buy it from things like Amazon for like $2.50, a digital copy. Or I checked the film is on YouTube, the whole film, so you can watch it on YouTube for free. The quality's not great, but it is.
Okay.
It's amazing because, like I say, it's essentially these documentary makers decide to interview the trainer from who trained Flipper for the TV show Flipper.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know there was a TV show of it.
Yeah, I didn't even until I watched this, but yeah, that was originally what it was. And he goes to see him. And the man's out in Japan, so he goes out to see him, and he's really, they think he's a bit nuts because he's like, I'm being followed by the Japanese government. So they go to meet him, and essentially talks about how he spent something like 15 years of his life creating an industry, and he's now like dedicated the rest of his life to destroying it. So essentially, he talks through how they wanted to make this Flipper, and he was a sort of animal expert who could train them. And they went out and they found these bottlenose dolphins. He picked a couple and then trained this dolphin Flipper, and he had this house at the end of a lake, and in this lake is where the sort of dolphins who played Flipper, where they did a lot of the filming. And obviously, he garnered a really strong sort of relationship with them because Flipper became so popular. Things like SeaWorld became popular, where you could go visit them and they'd do tricks, and the trainers would train them to do certain things. But dolphins, unlike humans, every breath they take is a choice, so they can kill themselves. They can choose to stop breathing. That's exactly what the dolphin did one day. It swam into his heart and just stopped breathing.
Bloody hell.
And you look at these dolphins swim like 100 miles a day, whatever. And they're stuck in these tiny little tanks. And the things they don't tell you in SeaWorld, first, these dolphins and whales used to kill themselves, and they used to go insane. They used to batter their heads against the glass because the noise of the filters was so loud, it was like deafening to them. And then the fish they feed them have loads and loads of like antibiotics because of all the ulcers in their mouth because they're so stressed. And they live in pods. They're meant to be like families. They're meant to be big units who swim together, and often they're isolated. And so essentially he went round, he started trying to free them and steal them from places in America to get them out. But one of the things that he's most concerned about is there's this cove in Japan where every year they do this drive where they get hundreds, thousands of dolphins. So they essentially get loads of boats with big sticks that they can hit on the seafloor. It creates this almost like sonar wave that draws them into this cove. And he says that the Japanese government are killing them. And not only are they killing them, they're selling or giving some of the dolphin meat to school children. And because dolphins' meat has such high mercury levels, it poisons them.
Yeah.
So they're not telling them that that's what it is. They're just saying it's normal fish. And obviously Japan are denying this. The government people, they ask for interviews. And he's like, we can prove it, but they've got all these securities in place, so you can't film it, so you can't get proof. Yeah. So they get like an Ocean's 11 team together. So they get like this security expert who used to be in like the SAS. They get this couple who are free divers because they want to go under at night and plant some cameras for the morning so they can film it underneath the water. But if they had tanks and stuff like that, they've got like sensors so they'll be able to hear, if there's like a boat in the water or if there's breathing equipment. So they need to use these free divers to go down. They get these documentary makers. They get these engineers who I feel like may have worked on films as well. So they're like props to make these sort of rocks they want to plant around the cove as well, so that they can do it. So they want to create this idea with it so they can film it and prove to the world that what they're, not obviously all of Japan, but a lot of this sort of Japanese town and the government are doing, because they almost see dolphins like vermin, some of them like rats, I guess because obviously fishing's a huge industry in Japan, isn't it? It's a huge food source. I mean, it's a small island. And obviously, that dolphins are competing with the fishermen, aren't they? But yeah, so it's amazing having this group of people try and create this to get this proof, and then what they want to try and do with the proof to try and create change. Because essentially, there's this act where it's illegal to hunt whales. And dolphins are technically just small whales, but they're not on this this United Nations act under the same as whales, so it's technically not illegal to hunt and kill them. So they obviously want to try and get that as well. So yes, it's one of the best documentaries. Well, not one of. It's the best. It's my number one of the top 5. It's the best documentary I've ever seen. And like I say, it really does feel like this like a film. Like I say, it's almost like a thriller.
Well, I've just read here, Time magazine described it as putting Hollywood capers like Mission Impossible to shame, and Peter Rayner of Christian Science Monitor called it a rousing piece of real-world thriller filmmaking. Would you agree with them?
Yeah, 100%.
It does sound quite interesting.
I'm not even going to talk about the second one.
No. Well, New York Times said it's an exceptionally well-made documentary that unfolds like a spy thriller. So I think, what you're saying about it, or everyone's agreeing, and it sounds really quite interesting, actually.
Yeah, I think it won the 2010. Let me have a look. Yeah, it won the 2010
it won the Oscar.
Oscar, for best documentary. Which is how I found it. That's what I do every year. So I just Google, the winners of each of all the categories I'm interested in, try and read them. I think it's the same as Free Solo won as well, which is why I watched it. It was nominated.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I say, I can't. And as well, I've made quite a lot of. At the time when I watched it, I was very passionate. I still am to a degree, but you're always more passionate about an issue after you've learned about it. And I made all my family watch it as well, because it's one of those like I say, I've not got a huge desire to go to America to go. Well, I'd like to go to America, but I've not got a huge desire to go to like the Disney World and Sea World and things like that. But if I'd been given the opportunity before, then do you want to go to Sea World? Swim with some dolphins. I'd have been like, that sounds awesome. But now that I've seen that, and like I say, how it's almost torture what they're doing to these animals, and obviously Blackfish looks at that as well with the whale. I'm like, I'd never do that now. And I don't. That's not a criticism of anyone who has done that. Like my brother-in-law, he's done that. He's been there and swam with dolphins when he was younger before he'd seen this documentary. And obviously, he's like, I feel awful now. I was like, well, you weren't to know. Like none of us were to know really about. I think when you stop and think about it, it's almost common sense. Yeah, this is bad what they're doing to them, but because they brand it that they're happy and that they enjoying themselves, you sort of forget, don't you? And like I say, one of the worst, dolphins almost always look like they're smiling, don't they? Where their faces are as well. But so I guess you just, I don't know, you're blind to these things, aren't you? And I think sometimes as humans we want to avoid these, know about that idea of ignorance is bliss, isn't it? But
I was literally about to say those words, yeah.
But the problem is, the more people watch it, the more people talk about it, the more people refuse to go to those places. So that's the thing. If you go to America now, don't go. Don't give them money, because if they don't have money, they'll stop doing it. Which is sort of what's starting to happen already. They've had so much bad press and they're losing so much money that I think they're starting to start buying more dolphin whales. Feel like it maybe not that they've made official. We refuse. We'll never do it again. But they've definitely bought a lot less in the last 10 years or so, because there's a lot less people going, so they don't need as many.
Yeah.
So it shows it's working. The more educated we are.
That's one I'm definitely interested in going and watching.
Like I say,
I'm surprised I hadn't heard of it.
I would say, or arguably, if I sat and thought about it, it was so good as a film. You know what I mean? The way it was filmed, the way the story almost goes, that's what it feels like. Mm-hmm. I could argue it should have even potentially gone in my top 5 films, generally.
That's fair. Oh, fantastic list.
Yeah, it's a good one, that. I really enjoyed doing it. Again, it's ones that I really... like I say, I get an absolute buzz when you talk about like people at your work or friends or family who like mention things to you, like, oh, they said that they've like, I think you said one of your friends, your boss or something, started watching Scrubs after us talking about it.
Yeah, Senior's decided that he wants to watch Scrubs based on...
What's his name again? Another friend of the show.
Scott.
Shout out Scott. So I'd love to hear people tweet us at Mammon Podcast, Facebook at Mammon Podcast, or email us at mammonpodcast@hotmail.com. I think, like I said, I'd love to hear people, let us know if you did watch them or play them and what you thought afterwards. Would be amazing, because I think that's what's like great is about documentaries and films and books and things like that. They like connect people, don't they? You can have those conversations about it. It gives you something in common.
Yeah, definitely.
So I say it's what I've always loved about football. To me, if you find someone who likes football, you've automatically got a huge topic of things you can talk about. Same with stuff like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Next week, then.
Well, next week, love is in the air because it's Valentine's Day.
And that means we're going for top 5 rom-coms. And growing up with older sister means I've got a hell of a lot to pick from. I love a rom-com, by the way. Absolutely no shame.
Oh, yeah.
You?
Yeah, no, I absolutely love them.
And what other big national holidays can we tie in? There's Earth Day coming up, isn't there? I feel like. What can we do for that?
Top 5
planets.
I was about to say planets.
No, I think that'd be dreadful. Hold on, I'm looking on my phone now. St. Patrick's Day?
Top 5 drinks.
Ooh.
We've actually been requested for top 5 drinks.
Have we? Feels a little bit racist to do it on St. Patrick's Day.
It does.
Let's do it. Yeah, alright, let's do it. And, April Fool's Day. Could we do something like top best pranks on TV and film or something?
Yeah, like hidden camera shows or like skits from that sort of thing.
Yeah, that could be something. Something
to look into.
Right.
I don't know what the topic how to word the topic, but I'm sure I've got an idea of the sort of things that I'm thinking.
The things you're thinking.
Yeah, but I can't really say because I've got ideas of ones that'd be in my top 5. But if I say them to you, then you'll know what my top 5 are.
All right, we'll leave it there then for now.
Great way to end it.
I'm desperate for a slash. I'm going to have to go soon. And on that note, join us next week for again increased professionalism. That is Mam on Podcast. Mike and Mike on Mike.
Bye.
Bye all. Right, I'm genuinely desperate for a piss, so I am going to have to say. So I'm stopping recording.